Hello, my name is Nick Ford, and I'm here today to talk to you about construction, somewhat specifically commercial construction, but mainly looking at my background, how I got into the construction industry, what path I took, which is different for everybody, and look at how my path and construction in general might work for you in what you're looking to do in the future, school, things you can be thinking about, kind of planting the seeds for down the road, and what paths you might want to take at that point. So I will share my screen with you, and we'll get started through this. So I mentioned my name is Nick, and the company I work for is Woodruff Construction. We have a few locations around Iowa and do a little bit of everything. And again, we focus on the commercial construction side. So who am I? My job title at this point in my career is regional president. So we have an office here in Tiffin by Iowa City, and I basically oversee the operations of this office and work with our other offices in Waterloo, Ames, and Fort Dodge to do people who do similar things to me, just trying to keep things going more or less. Construction is a very busy, constant type of industry. So there are a lot of moving parts, and people need to try to keep track of that and look over it. In the past, my roles have included project manager, estimator, superintendent, which covers a wide range of things, both in the office and on job sites. I'll get into those roles a little bit later, but being able to do those other roles and having experience in each of those things is what's helped me to move into the role I'm in now, because you need some knowledge and background on more than one thing to as you get into more leadership roles within whatever industry you're in. The education I've had has varied a little bit. After I graduated from high school, I went to Iowa State University. I actually started out in meteorology. So yes, I was potentially going to be a weatherman, which would be a good field to go into. But I decided I liked the idea of having an element of business and an element of just that hands-on feel. I grew up on a farm, so I just had that hands-on aspect of getting into directly what I'm working on. And I had a person who lived on my dormitory floor who was in construction engineering. He was a senior when I was a freshman, and when I talked to him, it just seemed like it clicked, like maybe this is what I might enjoy. So I switched during my freshman year and continued with the construction engineering program all the way through. Then, after I had been graduated and working for Woodruff Construction for probably about 10 years, 9 or 10 years, I ended up starting down the path of getting an MBA, or Master's in Business Administration, from the University of Iowa, because I was living in Iowa City at that point, and to look at more, get into the business side of things. So in that case, you're learning more in depth about accounting, management, lots of other things that tie into the business field, no matter, again, not tied to the construction industry, but just in general. And that helped me a lot into the role I'm in today, because there's just a lot of different elements in a business, and especially with construction. Another side note about me, I have 4 little girls, 4 daughters, range from next year 4th grade down through even before preschool. So have a busy household and have a busy time at work too, all the way around. Now, the company I work for, Woodruff Construction, who are they? So in terms of construction companies, we've actually been around a very long time. 1956 is when we were established, and kind of like the restaurant industry, the construction industry can oftentimes have a shorter lifespan of a business, just because there are a lot of, it's easy to start up a business in construction, but then it's also easy to leave or change or do other things. So we've been around a long time. I'm in our Iowa City location out of Tiffin. And as I mentioned before, we have Waterloo, Ames, and Fort Dodge as other locations. Similar offices, similar in what we do, although each region, as we call it, maybe has different types of clients and different types of just work that goes on. Just like, one town may have a certain manufacturer, another town may have a hospital that's a big employer. There are different things in every community. Now, the type of contractor we're typically a general contractor, which basically means we would be the entity that has a contract directly with an owner. So we have that direct relationship with an owner, and then we may subcontract certain parts of the work. So say we may hire an electrician, an electrical contractor, to do the electrical work. We're not going to do that ourselves, but we're going to do the general coordination, planning, communication of the project, kind of a funnel point from the owner and design team through us, and then funnel back out to all the other team members on the construction side. That's really what we do. Construction manager is another similar term to general contractor. Just depends on the type of owner and the type of format it is for what we do. Now, we do a wide range of work. That's one of the things that I think can make construction a lot of fun, is you get that diversity of things. You can learn new things. We do things at universities, Iowa State, UNI, University of Iowa, K through 12 schools, water and wastewater treatment facilities, which is a very unique process with neat equipment and piping systems, valves. It's just a neat field. And there's your typical, say, renovation. So businesses, could be a bank renovation or just a private rehab therapist. I mean, anything and everything we often get into. So commercial construction, I want to clarify a little bit. There is a big difference between commercial and residential. Commercial typically has more drawings, more specifications, so guidelines of it needs to meet this criteria or this performance value. Residential tends to be not as formal, and a lot of times it's hard for a given contractor to try to bounce between the two fields. So we stick to commercial typically, other than maybe if it's a multifamily like an apartment, tends to be maybe a little more in commercial than the residential. We do both public and private customers. So public would include your cities, say City of Cedar Rapids or University of Iowa, and private customers would get more into, say, a bank or just some other maybe private hospital, for example. And they can be different to work with too. We work closely with architects and engineers. That's probably as big a difference between commercial and residential as any. So we don't typically do the drawings, although we can be involved with that. But typically we have to work with the people who do and help interpret and take what they've drawn and make it into the reality, the physical embodiment of their art in a way. And it takes a lot of communication to take from the paper or the computer screen and make it into a building. That's probably it's one of the challenges that we face. We will typically subcontract specialized work to others, just like the electrician. We subcontract, so we have them do that work versus maybe our own forces do the work. And that's typical with a lot of specialized types of work, because they're the experts, and we want the experts to be doing the work because it gets done to the right quality level and the right time frame to be done as well. We also work within building codes and other rules. So every city or location we work in maybe has a little bit different code. We have to make sure that we follow that along with the guidelines from the architect. So who do we serve? Lots of different places and companies. You can see just from some of the emblems here. This is just a small sample size of some of the clients that we have. Again, mix of public and private, different types of services here. Most of these are in the Cedar Rapids, Iowa City area, and some of them are national entities, like GSA is federal government. But then we get down to, and Bridgestone Bandag, that's a international company. We get into your more local, like universities here, banks that are local too. So all across the spectrum. And then what do we build? Well, you can see a few examples here. We have a bank, a school, a rest area that's by Tiffin in the bottom right corner. The lower left side is the Ground Transportation Center in Cedar Rapids. We repaired that after the floods of 2008. then one that probably most of you have seen on TV at some point in the center there, that is the University of Iowa Stead Family Children's Hospital. So we did a part of that. We did a lot of the interior finishes. So when you walk through the hallways or in the rooms, what you see on the walls, the floors, ceilings, that's stuff that our company did. And we're very proud to have been a part of that. That's one of the, sometimes people talk about having a grandfather project. And that's one of the projects that when you're say a grandfather or a grandmother, you would have your grandkids with you and say, I was involved in this building or this project. And I would definitely say the Children's Hospital is one of those for me down the road. That's one of the unique things about construction is you can literally show someone the work you've done versus a lot of other fields. You don't really have that opportunity to show people what you've done or what you're doing right now. So a lot of roles on a construction team. This is where a lot of opportunities can come in for people both to pick out something they want to do initially, but also gives them opportunity to if you've done something for a while and you maybe like to change it up a little bit, or you've discovered an interest in something else. Construction is full of opportunities in this regard. So we have project manager, that's someone in the office who's working on schedules, doing a lot of the communication, pricing of things for costs, those kind of things. Project engineer can be a mix of office and job site, doing a lot of, say, measurements and verifications and those communications. Superintendent is a really important part of a project because he or she is on site and typically just has that one project that they're overseeing. So they're the real, literally the boots on the ground. They're the person who needs to really know the details and the short-term scheduling of a project. The foreman is on a job site, but they might have a kind of similar, they own a certain part of the project. So maybe it's the concrete work. They're a concrete foreman, so they're overseeing that specifically. Carpenter is someone who's doing carpentry, putting it in place. Steel erector puts the steel in place. We get into other aspects that aren't necessarily construction based, only in construction, but still play a role. And there are ways you can be involved as well. A controller is someone who handles a lot of the financial aspects for a company. Payroll administrator, construction companies typically have a lot of employees and people have to coordinate that. HR director, a lot of things, both with just employees, but also into the safety side of things, that we have to make sure we're protecting our coworkers and training also the continuous education on what we do. Business developer, we need to can't do construction if we don't have new projects, and a business development person is key in trying to bring some of that work through the door so we keep a steady flow of work. So the career paths we have, I think there are many roles in the field that you can consider and move through. If you do more of a vocational training, so maybe you will go through a carpentry program like Kirkwood Community College has, or even one of the other trades with HVAC or plumbing or electrical. You can really focus and jump into the field that way. But then there are opportunities to move through, whether it's learning a different skill set, say going from plumbing to electrical, or maybe you want to become a foreman and move up that way. That's where you go through the next item here. It culminates in a leadership position a lot of times. So you've been a carpenter and you want to become a leader on the project, you might move into a superintendent role. Or maybe you want to move into the office, and so you become more of a project manager, project engineer. So you have different paths that can be side to side or vertically, moving up in leadership path. That can be on a project, based on a project for leadership, or focused work, or even the whole company. So think about it, field versus office, and there's in between. I think that's one of the most unique parts of construction is you can be literally out there involved in the work on the site, or you can be somewhat removed from it in an office setting, but still doing that communication. And it takes knowledge of construction and a lot of other aspects to be successful in the industry. So don't think that if you're good throwing the tool belt on and jumping out that's all you need, because it's not. There's a lot of communication, a lot of collaboration, just other skills that you may not think are needed that either they are or they will need to be if you want to change and grow at all. So there are a lot of options to change and grow, expand for your future. Some of the benefits as I see them, fast-paced and involved. There's rarely a boring day. There's always things that are coming up that are opportunities to learn, to just be involved, and helps the days go by quickly. You can learn about other industries you help build. So say like when we did the children's hospital, I learned a lot about the medical field and how patient care is delivered, especially for the most sensitive. I've learned about nanotechnology when we've worked on a clean room project. I've learned how the process of making tires at a tire plant that we worked at. So you get a lot of additional knowledge that you never know can help you professionally, help you personally, and just really is just interesting to learn about. You also, the people you work with are very good too. You get to meet a whole range of personalities, of backgrounds that you wouldn't otherwise. Now, some of the challenges of construction, again, these challenges can be benefits too, but you have to keep them in mind. Construction can be a very demanding industry, both the time you need to put in and the energy it takes to do it. Again, I talked before, it never really stops. You may have a little bit slow periods on a project, but it's never nothing happening. It's always something you got to be thinking ahead, looking down the road for what things you need to prepare now for maybe a month from now or even 6 months from now. There can be difficult situations and problems to solve. No matter how well you plan, there are things that come up. Maybe it's weather, maybe it's a delay in a shipment of material that you need to install. And when those problems come up, you need to collaborate with others and try to come up with a solution that works for everybody as soon as you can, because you can't have a job site shut down. You need to keep some momentum going. And that relates to the last bullet there. You got to be able to think quickly, change pace a little bit. It's not going to go just how you want it to. And you can plan and reduce the amount of times that happens, but there are going to be things that happen that you can't control. So you got to be able to adapt and modify your plan a little bit, and then communicate those changes to others. So career preparation, I start with ACE programs here. There are a lot of ACE programs. We've really grown this over the years. You have these opportunities, and boy, you just need to take advantage of them as much as you can. Related to that, you get into your job shadows and internships, so Workplace Learning Connection and other places around. There's just a lot of opportunities in this area. You can even volunteer. That could be Habitat for Humanity. It could be some certain summer programs. There are lots of opportunities to do things and just get a little bit of experience and exposure to something in construction that you might not otherwise. Classes in school are important. Summer jobs, you probably have an opportunity to maybe help. Maybe it's a local home builder, or even in a shop that you learn about the tools. Lots of opportunities. And once you get out of maybe your high school opportunities, community college instruction, university degree programs. Iowa has a very good setup with multiple community colleges, including Kirkwood, and then really all the universities too. Just good opportunities everywhere. So I'll finish here with some questions that I'd ask, and you may be asking, and maybe I can fill in some of the blanks here. So what technology is used in construction? The answer is it's changing, and it's improving all the time. And this is true whether it's office or the field. Our superintendents usually have some sort of, say, an iPad or some sort of mobile device that they use to keep track of things and documents on the job site. We still have big paper plans that are used to, the big drawings rolled out on a table, but superintendents need to be able to have stuff with them and on the go, whether it's taking pictures, marking up things to send out to an architect with a question, or communicating with the project manager in the office. We have a lot of online programs that help do that, and they help organize and whether it's pictures or file sharing or other things that we use. Technology includes our scheduling software, our estimating software, We get into doing drawings sometimes too. So you have AutoCAD, you have Revit, other programs that are really important. You know, it's not just architects who might be doing those drawings at times. Even Google SketchUp is a big help. So technology, both for the computer side and whether it's surveying, just the tools we use is changing all the time and makes it safer and better for communication too. Where can you go for more education in this field? You know, again, most community colleges have some sort of program, whether it's a building trades program or a construction management program. Lots of things you can do. I recommend Kirkwood. We've hired a lot of people from Kirkwood in the past who have moved up through our chain in our region. So Kirkwood has some great opportunities, and we've also put people through while they're working for us. If they're looking to change a little bit, they do. And you also have UNI has a construction management program. Iowa State has a great construction engineering program, and Iowa has civil engineering and other similar programs too. What personality traits and skills are most important? Well, it takes all kinds. I will say that. I think someone who tends to be more proactive, who doesn't mind and maybe likes to be able to talk to people, get out there and learn things. It helps to be extroverted, but there are plenty of roles if you're a little more introverted and reserved too. But again, you got to be able to communicate and be able to understand. I tell some of our people, especially project managers, you have to be a chameleon, which means you're the one who has to change. If, say, someone corresponds better by text or email or however it may be, you need to adjust to them because you want to make sure they're understanding things, and then you have to understand back the other way too. So you have to be adjustable. What's most rewarding about being in construction? I think it's establishing relationships with people who you might not otherwise, and then I'll go back to being able to highlight things that you do, and it's neat to be able to show, whether it's your parents or later on your kids or friends, like, hey, I was involved in that, kind of like the wave at Kinnick Stadium with the Children's Hospital. I can only say, yep, there it is. We did that. And maybe last but not least, what does the future hold for jobs in construction? And what's out there? So when you are getting through your high school and you want to get out and be working and still learning, what's there for you? What opportunities? Well, I think about this. When we had gone through the COVID crisis here, what industries were deemed essential? Well, construction, for the most part, was deemed essential because it has to happen. No matter how virtual we are, no matter how much technology and online things we have, people still need buildings, structures, and it goes for highways too. Highways and bridges are part of construction and commercial construction. There are always jobs, and they may ebb and flow depending on how an economy is, both local and national, and how changes are going. But in general, construction will not go away. And knowing that you can get into one aspect of construction and you're not pigeonholed into that one thing, you have lots of paths within construction, or even if you decide at some point construction wasn't for you and you need to change, construction is a great springboard to other things too. So I think in starting out in construction, it gives you many opportunities and options down the road, whether it's for a few years or for the rest of your life. And it's something that I encourage you to consider. So one of the best ways you can do this, I'll remind you as I finish here, the ACE programs through Kirkwood. The ACE Sector Board has a lot of great opportunities through different career fairs, through other programs, activities, both going to your school and coming maybe to Cedar Rapids or other communities to get involved with other schools too. It's out there, it's grown, has a lot of great things. So keep it in mind. Remember, you have Kirkwood close by, and industry professionals like me who are really excited to help you out into a great industry with a lot of opportunities. So I thank you for the opportunity to tell a little bit about myself in commercial construction, and have a good school year.